So this is a topic that I've seen talked about for the past couple of weeks in the Star Wars fandom, and is Ahsoka going to save Star Wars? And everyone seems to have an opinion on this, and seems to be giving their 2 cents. So I think that I should give my 2 cents as well. The reason why this discussion's happening is because even though there are some people that do not like Ahsoka, Ahsoka has been pretty universally praised, not just by the critics, which mean nothing to be honest with you anymore, but also by the fandom, including people in the fandom who already had checked out or who were very critical or upset at the choices that Disney made with Star Wars, who hate the sequel trilogy. People are now on board for Ahsoka. Not everyone, but a lot of them are, including myself. I did not like episodes 8 and 9. 7 was enjoyable for what it was, but 8 and 9, I didn't like them. I've talked about them a million times here. But Mandalorian came around, and I was interested in that aspect of the story, and now with Ahsoka, they got me, I don't want to say hooked. That's not really the right word because I'm not hooked, but I am interested and intrigued because Dave Filoni is and always should have been the successor to George Lucas. But is Ahsoka going to save Star Wars? First of all, the concept of Star Wars being saved is weird because that's a concept that is going to change depending on whom you ask. Financially, Star Wars still makes money. The sequel trilogy still pull in cash. The video games, as far as I know, have not really flopped. So as a franchise, even though if you're in the internet bubble or if you don't like Disney Star Wars, it may be a hard pill to swallow. You may not see it, but Star Wars is not completely dead. However, with the hardcore fan base, the fan base that's the most vocal and the ones that have really been fans probably the longest time, I would say, on average, they're the ones that are being let down. Whether it be because of the politics that they put into Star Wars through Disney or because of just the lack of direction, the bad storytelling, and the overall distancing of what George Lucas was trying to create with the original movies, people have been let down. But does that mean that Star Wars, quote unquote, needs to be saved? I understand the concept. It's just that I feel the phrasing is a little bit weird. I'm still going to call this video, I'm still going to phrase it in the video as being Will Ahsoka save Star Wars? And the way that I'm perceiving it right now is I don't think Ahsoka, even if it's good, is going to entirely redeem Star Wars of the sins of the sequel trilogy. I think that if Ahsoka's good, I think more of the hardcore fans will hop on and watch more of the Filoni stuff. I think if Filoni is put in charge of at least the creative direction of Star Wars, along with maybe Jon Favreau, a couple others that aren't Kathy Kennedy, I think that, and she's going to be the one that's in charge of everybody, but I mean, she has to step away and be an executive and let them take care of the storytelling. I think if that's the direction they go in, the probability of Ahsoka helping with that is certainly going to be important. Ahsoka's a very, very big piece of the puzzle here. But to be honest with you, Mandalorian season 1 and 2 was even more in that way because, dude, people love that show and they do not like the sequel trilogy, and they're able to at least watch that show and dump everything else Star Wars and still enjoy it. Season 3, obviously it's a step down. It was unfocused. It is what it is. But the reason why I'm discussing this is because I do feel like Ahsoka is a step in the right direction. I think people who are in the hardcore bubble are going to be following Filoni a lot more than they would be following, I don't know, Rian Johnson, let's just say. I think no matter what your opinion may be on Filoni's attitude and behavior, he definitely understands Star Wars a lot better than a lot of people who have worked on it through Disney Star Wars. But as far as Ahsoka saving Star Wars, I think that the sequel trilogy has done so much irreparable damage to the brand that people are going to be skeptical for a very, very long time. What they need now is consistency. Forget, trying to get a quick buck. They have to play the long game. They have to put out products that people are going to like consistently. Then that way the fans can be like, well, they screwed up, but they're really trying to win me back over again, and they're actually giving us consistent product. And as a result of that, I'll check back in. That doesn't mean they're going to all of a sudden become fans of Rose Tico. I think what people are going to do in their minds is what I'm kind of doing, where you are taking the sequel trilogy out of the equation. You're basically ignoring it as much as you can to enjoy Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and things like that. You know what I mean? And I think that might be the best thing you're going to get from it. I don't think people are ever going to 100% trust Disney. I don't see that ever happening. I really don't. I think fans know, they see the writing on the wall, and they see other things going on with Disney, like what's going on with the MCU. And they just think, well, this may never change. So I think this idea of people having hope that there's going to be a change, there might be a change, but it's not going to be what you think. We may get better TV shows, better movies, and that's something else too. I think Star Wars is not really going to earn people back until we have consistent theatrical movies, because ultimately Star Wars is meant to be seen in a theater. It's a high stimulant franchise with surround sound, with big screens, big special effects shows. These movies and even the TV shows work better with a crowd in a movie theater. Point blank. There's other shows out there, other dramas and things like that on television that work better for TV. But Star Wars as a franchise really gets to spread its wings when it's on the big screen. So I think that part of this reparation, if you want to call it that, of Disney and the fans is by delivering consistent theatrical Star Wars movies. I'm not sure if Rey is the answer. In fact, I can probably tell you it's not. Because if you put out a Rey movie, which they already announced they're going to do at some point, all it's going to do is make people remember and bring to the front of their mind these negative emotions and negative feelings they had about the sequel trilogy. As much as Daisy Ridley, it's not her fault. She was just doing her job. Same thing with Oscar Isaac and the other actors. It's not their fault. But unfortunately, the taint of those stories, the muck of those movies might never go away. So if we ever see Rey actually come back on the big screen, people are going to not receive it well, even if the movie's good. Because unfortunately for Daisy Ridley, Rey represents the sequel trilogy. She is the main character. Just like how Luke is the main character of the old trilogy and Anakin of the prequel trilogy, Rey is the sequel trilogy, whether Daisy Ridley is involved or not. So anytime you see Rey, you're going to feel a negative feeling. At least some people will. So I think the best thing they can do is try to distance themselves as much as they can and be consistent. Because I think if they are consistent, in a few years, Star Wars, I don't know about it being saved, because I don't like that word, but people might feel more comfortable saying, you know what, I like where Star Wars is at now. They made up for all the crap. And to some, they're never going to make up for it, because what they did to Luke Skywalker's character, what they did to Han Solo, what they did with the overall story, with Palpatine coming back, all of these horrible decisions with these theatrical movies, they don't just go away. You can decanonize them if you want to, but they're not doing that. I don't care what Doomcock says. He's a fucking liar. If you haven't figured that out by now, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it's ever getting decanonized. So waiting for that is just going to be a waste of time. But if you want good Star Wars, there may be good Star Wars coming, but will it ever be quote unquote saved? I don't think so. I really don't. I think there was a lot of damage done in those movies, and to some people, now obviously it's only to those who actually care. Some people don't care, and others like those movies. They don't count. I mean, people who think that Star Wars needs to be saved, their idea of it being saved, what they want, I don't know, man. Don't think it's gonna happen. That's my opinion.